Going live. All right. Now I think we're live. Just making sure. Boom, 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 boom. Ah, yeah. All right, cool. My little drum test. It worked. So, today, we're drawing a guinea pig. This guinea pig was lent to me by a friend named Corey. Now, he didn't give me his pig, but Corey, if you're watching, thank you for sending me the picture. The picture, if you will. This is a beautiful animal. I'd love to know his name. I actually don't know his name. But I love the colors. He's black and gold and white. Super nice. So, yeah, well, let's get started drawing this little guy or girl. If you would like me to do a video on your pet or anything else, go ahead and leave me a comment or leave a comment on this video and I'll read them and figure out a drawing video for you. So let me move my keyboard out of the way and get started. So this guinea pig, let's make sure this works. This guinea pig is it's looking to the right. I'm just gonna kind of observe some things about it. It's looking to the right. It's got little feet, but no legs really, just little feet. It's got one eye and a nose. Can't see its mouth, but I think it's right under there. And it's got an ear. And that's about it. The rest of it's just all fur. So let's get rid of all that. So I think the most fun part about drawing this guinea pig will be drawing all the fur. And I don't think it would be quite the same in black and white. So I'm actually going to use some color on this. Not just drawing, but we'll get the shapes first before we color it. Yeah, the first thing we're going to do, y'all, is find the biggest shapes, as always. For me, on this guinea pig, I could draw the, maybe the whole shape of the guy and then the ear. That would be one way to go. Or I could draw the background, which is this table he's sitting on. And that might be actually a better way to do it. Because it's split into these lines of the table, I can kind of use those as measuring tools for the guinea pig. So that's what I'm going to do. I am going to first draw the top line of the table, something like that. Maybe a little bit shallower of an angle, like that. Even more so. On the actual picture, it's not quite horizontal, but it's something like that. And then we've got a second line. I'm going to draw it right through the guinea pig. And then we've got the third line, and then this closest line to the camera, something like that. This one's a little bit more steep. Yeah, something like that. And then now I can use the lines to kind of measure it. So this top area here, where I circled, that's what I'm looking at first. So I'm just going to kind of draw roughly, and I'm going to use kind of short jagged lines because I know he's furry. And I'm going to draw the shape I see above that line, which is something like that. Maybe if I'm not sure if I can make this, opaque. Anyways, yes, that's the kind of the shape I see above the line. Now I'm going to go down and follow his fur towards his rear end here. And that's about what I see between those two lines. And I'm talking about the lines on the actual table here. I'm using them. And this is something you could do drawing other things too, is find something in the background that you can kind of use as a ruler or a reference point. So I'm coming down here and I'm working on the bottom section now. that. And then the nose comes around here. I'll probably clean this nose area up because it's not so furry. I've actually never, besides prepping for this, I never have drawn a guinea pig before. So thank you, Corey, for sending me this picture of your guinea pig, because I love a challenge and I love drawing new things. I've drawn a lot of pictures of my baby, and I've drawn a lot of trees, but I haven't drawn any guinea pigs recently. Okay, so I got the outline of him. That looks pretty good. I mean, it just looks like a blob right now, but I'm gonna erase the lines inside like that. Cool. All right, so I've got the, oh, I forgot one line of the table, just this tiny little line in the corner, so I'm gonna add that in. And then there's a line actually of the sidewalk I could add in just to complete the background. So we've pretty much got the whole background in, at least a sketch of it. I could do more, this pattern of the table, which is a wood pattern. Wood, depending on the cut of wood, kind of a lot of times has these kind of circles, or just a bunch of thin lines like this. So I'll quickly kind of do that in. Just so it kind of looks like he's on a wood table. The further away, the less detail you have to add. So I added more the kind of lines in this front closest panel and less lines moving backwards. Cool. That's a good background there. Ooh, there's a crack in the sidewalk. I can add that. So we haven't really gotten to the actual guinea pig yet, but I'm having fun drawing the backdrop. All right, here we go. Now, time to get the shapes of the guinea pig in. So you can't, unlike some animals or people, you can't see really where the legs start and end. You can't see a neck, or the only really areas of definition I see on this guy are his ear, and forgive me if I'm misgendering the guinea pig. Just his bed head reminds me of my own, so I'm calling him a he. So he, I can see his ear, I can see his eye, and I can see his little claws in the back, and his nose. But other than that, it's just kind of one big blob, besides his color patches. So the color patches is what I'm going to focus on. And the biggest color patch I see, or maybe the most defined, is this black area that's almost like the Star Trek symbol here. So that's what I'm going to draw in here. It's something like this. Again, kind of with small lines, probably a good idea. Since it's furry, we kind of want to always keep in mind the texture that we're drawing. That might inform what type of lines we do. So I'm just using small little, and see, it almost kind of looks like the Star Trek logo or something on there. Now I'm going to draw the ear. Now this may be with stronger lines, because the ear isn't so furry. Okay, got the ear, got that Star Trek symbol. Now I'm going to go towards the rear end and get, I see another black shape towards the top here. Little lines kind of coming down, and then it goes down all the way and kind of meets up with this line. And then we've got, looks like that shape. So this is, when I draw, actually, I have a picture. I got hired to draw some kitties. I don't know if I've shown this one, but here's some kitty cats. 2 kitty cats, one napping and one kind of looking on top of the other. I need to mail this because I did it weeks ago. Here's another kitty. This is a watercolor I did of my cat. But When I do cats or now guinea pigs, um, the fur pattern is really what makes one look special and unique. So you have to pay close attention to where the shape patterns in the fur are. So that's why I'm really taking my time with this. So here's the rear end. I see there's a little light area that I'm gonna kind of outline here, right on his backside, and then I'm going around the top of his back. There's a shape that there's a black shape that connects with that Star Trek symbol, something like that. This comes down a little bit, maybe here, and we'll develop this when I do the coloring phase in a minute. We'll kind of so this comes around. This is his nose now. I'm drawing. And you can already see the drawing kind of starting to come to life a little bit. There's this bright area of orange. The brightest spot on his face is where I'm at now. And now I'm coming up to his eye. Like so. Okay, now I'm going to use kind of carefully draw a circle eye. Though, when I look at it, it's not quite a circle. I drew it as a perfect circle, but I'm going to erase it. I'm going to do more of a oval pointing that way. There we go. That seems a little bit closer. And I'm going to look at the... You can see me how much I look up and down, up and down, up and down. My daughter, Olive, when I draw, she's like, "Why are you looking up and down so much? Why do you keep looking at me?" Anyways, okay. So I think that's pretty much all the major fur patterns. It looks like maybe he has a little coming off the front of his eye. It pokes up a little bit, and then a little spot right here on his forehead. Now I'm going to draw those claws on his back. On his foot, towards the back. So I can see that the claws don't cross this line in the table. They're pretty much hit about here, right above the line. I mean, there's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. Cool. They're kind of fierce claws for such a cute little guy. Oops. They look sharp. Corey, you'll have to let me know if he ever scratches you. Okay, so I think that's a pretty good sketch of him. It's not perfect by any means, but it's got the shapes of the face decently. It's got the fur okay. So now I'm going to go into my coloring phase. So this is actually last week when I drew cars, I printed them out and gave them to Olive as coloring pages. So I could do that, print it out, but I'm actually going to color it digitally. So I like to create a new layer, and then I'm going to go into kind of like some kind of paint. Let's see. Artistic? No, let's do just a round brush. That's fine. Keep it simple. All right. So now looking at the colors is what we're going to do. So what colors do we see in this guy? I see gold. I see black with a slight maybe bluish green tint to it. And I see like a light tan. No white, but close to it. Maybe a little dot of white in his eye. And maybe his back claws. Those look kind of white, but yeah. The thing I see the most, though, is that kind of blackish blue. So I'm going to change it from black. Here, I'll move it so you can see my color wheel, what I'm doing here. Scoot you over. So here would be deep black at the bottom, but I'm going to slide this to blue, and then I'm going to slide it up slightly, because when I'm painting, I don't really like to use full black. I like to kind of see what color is that black, because often things have some kind of light reflected upon them. So that's what I'm going to do. And you can see it looks pretty much black on the screen, but it's not. And it's those subtle differences that will kind of make your coloring more believable. So if you have the opportunity, try to use I like to use something called Payne's Gray, which is actually very similar to the color I'm using now, maybe a little lighter even. And it's like a dark gray that's slightly blue. And that tends to make a little bit less aggressive of a black. So I did that big shape of black. Now I'm going to go to his, what do you call it? Under his ear here. And there's a shape that goes down that I don't think I drew actually. I'm looking for it, but I can't find it. So I'm going to go over my lines a little bit and draw in the shape of black around his eye. Like that. And then we go up and then down and then and we're going around doop, 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 doop. Like that. And then we got like this. Now as I'm doing this shape, I feel like I did maybe the nose a hair too wide. Maybe I need to thin it up. So I'm actually going to erase a little bit of the nose because I can. Just like that. And I know that's such a small difference, but hey, if I notice it, might as well fix it. Okay. That looks pretty good, All right. That looks really nice. I love this Payne's Gray color. It's so it's pretty. So I'm gonna go in, erase that a little bit. I think I went a little bit too far there. There we go. So yeah, even though I drew the lines where I thought, as best as I could, I still, when I'm coloring, I'm not really going off of the lines I drew completely. I'm still looking at my subject and making sure these blocks of color are the right size. And that way I kind of get to double check myself, which makes the drawing that much more accurate. All right, back onto the top, which has this kind of I'm working on all the black shapes first. So I want to get that triangle kind of at the top, and I see I didn't really get that when I sketched him, so I'm glad I saw that now. Now I'm doing his back, side, rear end. Alright, a little bit of black there, and then this is a lighter, so I'm actually pressing a little bit softer, and luckily this type of pen responds to that, which is super cool. And not all digital pens do that, but pencils will do this. If you're drawing with pencil, you press a little bit lighter and you get a lighter color. That's a very kind of important tool to learn. So if you want to practice that, you can practice on something like this, or you could practice just by, if you see in my top right corner, you can try to go from light to dark like this and just shade really lightly and then shade darker, 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 darker. Just practice kind of moving from light to dark, and that'll help you when you are actually drawing. So let's see, have I gotten all the black areas? Not quite. There's one here that kind of goes. I don't know what I was doing in the sketch here because it seems to be kind of off. That's okay. That's why I really like this method of using of drawing it while looking at my screen, but also coloring it while looking at the screen. Not only for the colors, but the shapes that I'm finding here. That. All right. I think that's most of the black. Now I'm gonna look for kind of a little bit lighter, and I'm just gonna use the same color but press lighter for like the kind of gray areas. Gray, a little bit of gray there, a little bit of gray there. I think that's probably enough for the sake of time. I won't get too detailed. All right, I think it's time to add some color, some more color. There's a slight amount of blue now in that black. So I'm gonna go, luckily, another benefit of using blue is orange or gold, the color that I'm gonna use yet next, is directly across the color wheel. If you see on the top of the screen here, the blue's at the bottom and the orange is at the top. So that'll actually give us some nice contrast because we use a little slight amount of blue in the fur, in the black parts of the fur. So having this, having the light parts of the fur be orange is all the better. Because in art, we generally want to create areas of contrast because that's what kind of makes it shine. So I'm going to start with this kind of not all the way bright orange yet. I'll layer a little bit of that later. So I'm just going to go everywhere I see orange with this orange. There's just a bunch of above the ear. And this is going to be kind of my first layer of color. When I'm doing fur, I found it's good to kind of work in layers. You do what you see as best as possible, but know that you're going to go over it probably again with the same colors. This especially works in acrylic paint because the paint dries so fast that you can definitely work in layers, which is really cool. But you could also apply this to a pencil, where you're using your eraser as kind of your white, and you can go back and forth. Last night I drew my daughter Maple like 4 times, but one of the times I drew her, she was napping, and I drew her with my eraser. So I made a page that had lead, lightly covered the whole page with lead, and then with pencil lead, and then I used my eraser to pull out all the light parts, and then I used my pencil to put in any dark parts. But it worked really, really well, and I was happy with the result. So I've switched to a kind of a light gray now, and I'm putting in some of the shadows in the ear. I'm putting in a little bit of the gray that I see underneath. And it seems like wherever there's orange, there's a little bit of this light gray kind of hanging out around it. Yeah. And again, the whole time I'm kind of drawing with little tiny lines because of the furriness of them, and I kind of like that. So yeah, what am I missing here? So I'm gonna switch the gray into a more tan and finish up that fur. So now I'm gonna get rid of a lot of the white that I see. I want to be this kind of tan color and not white. So I should do that. A little bit back here. All right, he's looking good. I'm gonna go in with a little bit darker now, and he's got kind of a cowlick on his side, so I want to kind of emphasize that by kind of doing a star pattern out from that cowlick. That's just where the hair is kind of tousled. Looks like maybe he has bedhead a little bit. He slept on it. So yeah, something like that. And then I'll go over it again with a lighter color. And that will hide a little bit of that flower pattern I just did. There we go. I'm thinking that's a pretty good guinea pig. Now I'm going to focus on the eye a little bit. I'll zoom into it so you can see a little better what I'm doing. Not that much. Okay, so let's zoom into the actual eye as well. Okay. Get rid of that color. All right. So as you can see, his eye, it's very black, but also there's a white reflection of the sky. It looks like maybe you can kind of tell what was behind the photographer when you look at eyes this close. Looks like maybe you're under an underhang or something, but I'm just looking at the shape of the sky. So what I'm actually going to do is first make the whole eye black, and there's that. And I don't know if you can tell, but you can see how that black is different and actually kind of starts to make the rest of him look a little bit more blue, which is interesting. So I'm actually going to go back to my bluish black because I want to keep it consistent. So I made his whole eye black. So what I'm going to need to do is put some of those whites back in it. And if I look closely, it's not even white. It's like very light blue. So I want to try to copy that shape I see, which almost looks like a high heel to me. Oops, need a smaller nib here. So it's got kind of this shape, and then it goes down and over. And in general portraits, even pet portraits, the eye is where the viewer's eyes go. So you kind of want to make your eyes nice and detailed. Now, one thing I noticed about this eye is the eye socket around it is a lighter color gray than the black eye itself. So I'm gonna go ahead and circle the eye. Again, not quite a circle, more of a, with this gray, more of an oval. All right, now that is looking pretty good. Now, because he's all colored and the background is still not colored, I think maybe that would be the last step for us here, is before we move on to this second picture of a guinea pig, so we can practice again. I often like to do one subject multiple times. So if I'm drawing people, I'll draw 10 people, not just one, because you make lots of mistakes the first time you do something, and the second time, and the third time, all the way to actually to the 10th time, but you make less mistakes, and hopefully you look and learn from your mistakes, and you see, ooh, I need to work on eyeballs, or I need to work on the feet, because the feet don't look very good, and so on. So I'm going to draw the background now. It looks like I know that cement is gray, but it looks like the picture made that cement slightly blue-green, light blue-green, and I kind of like that. It's more exciting than gray anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and, make the sidewalk a blue-green color. And that's maybe a little bit too blue, so let's go towards the green. Yeah, that looks better. So I'm just coloring in the lines here very quickly, and so that's the sidewalk, and now I can do the table itself, which is also kind of a dark gray, but it almost has a brown tint to it, a green-brown tint. So I'm going to move towards that color, maybe like a little bit more brown than green. I don't know. It's maybe, I don't know. it's hard to tell with grays what color you're looking at. It could even be like a purple. I think it is. I think the top part of the bench is a different color than the closest area, so I'm gonna average the two. I'm gonna make this like slightly purple. Being careful not to color over my guinea pig drawing. I'll get in close in a second, but I'm just kind of carefully going around the edge there. Now, what's more important than the right color when you're choosing your color to use, to paint with, to draw with, what's more important than the color is how dark or light it is. So you can get kind of close with the color, but not exact, and it's fine. Especially when we're not looking at these pictures to side. I think this purple will look great. But the fact that it's a similar darkness and lightness is what gives the picture some believability. So just keep that in mind. So when I'm getting close, I like to look at the subject and see if there's anywhere on it that has like kind of a glow, and it doesn't look like it except for maybe this bottom part next to his mouth. So I'm going to leave a little bit of the white there next to his mouth, but just a touch, not really any actually. Let's color in here. I'm going to color over his claws and then draw them on top. So let's do that now. Those are white, maybe with a little bit of yellow in them, but pretty much white. So here we go. Claw 1, claw 2, claw 3. Wow, that's looking pretty good. Having a little bit of second thoughts on the purple because his fur is bluish. He's starting to kind of fall into it. So I want to add some brown in there and keep it the same darkness. I don't want to have too much. I think that's a better color. Let's see. This is that brown? Let's see. What do you think? Does this color work a little bit better for the table? That's what's cool about painting, is that you can often, except for in watercolor, it's a little bit trickier, but most painting you can go over whatever you just did, and keep correcting your mistakes over and over. Yeah, I don't know. That looks more like a wood table, but it doesn't look, I don't like it. So I'm going to actually undo what I just did. And let's see. So we have this purple color. And how was I off from the main picture? Maybe a little bit too dark. So I'm going to go a little lighter. And then go a little maybe bluer. Yeah, a little bluer. A little lighter. Now let's try that. This will be my last try on the table. Whatever this ends up being is it. No more, Michael. It's easy to get lost when you start to get better at drawing. It's easy to get lost in the details and erase and redo and erase. But when I'm practicing, if I'm drawing my daughters or something for practice, I try not to use an eraser at all. I try to just do my best and not erase or do too much do-overs. And I feel like that helps me get better faster. So, okay, that's the good table, but I want to put in a little bit of a shadow of the guy. So one thing about shadows that I can teach you now is that they often are slightly, like if it's a cool color, like this purple of the table, the shadow will be slightly warmer than that color. If it was a warm color table, this shadow might be slightly cooler. and it's not because of the color of the table, but it's the color of the light. So, for instance, if this looks like it's an outdoor photo, if the light coming down is from the sky, from sunshine, it'll be slightly blue. So everything in the photo, just like the sidewalk, looks slightly blue. So if you take out that blue, it'll make it look slightly the opposite of blue, which if we look at our color wheel, let's see, is again orange. So blue's at the bottom here and orange is at the top. So I know the shadows are going to be slightly more orange than anything lit up by the sky. And that's just by comparison. So I'm going to grab the color of this purple and I'm going to move it slightly more of a warm color gray. So I'm going to keep it the same gray and make it a little bit darker, and I make it a little more red. So let's make the shadow of him, which looks like it kind of comes, it's kind of a faint shadow, but it's there. It kind of comes like this, and then looks like there's some kind of shadow behind him. I don't know what that could be. Something like that. Now I might have went a little bit overboard on the red with that. That's okay. No, I'm just gonna use this blurry tool because I think that'll make that color blend in a little bit more. And I think I'll call it at that. That's a pretty good guinea pig so far. Actually, let me put a little bit detail in that in the ground up here. Just kind of muddy it up with that smudge tool so it doesn't look so flat. There we go. All right, that's good. And there is drawing number 1 of a guinea pig. I would like to, you know what? I lied. I'm going to do a little bit more because looking at them back and forth is kind of my final. He looks like there's too much light areas on him, so I'm going to do some brown work in here. Oops. Whoa, that's cool. Ooh, I can just dark it up like this. Whoa. That was weird. Oh, I'm drawing like under the color. Well, I'll just do this real quick then, like this. Man, all right, that looks a little bit better. What I noticed was that the areas of light were a little bit too light. And that's a little bit better. All right. Whew. Little guinea pig. Ah. I think now critiquing my work so that I can get the next one a little better. I think I did well on the little tiny strokes, but I could be a little bit more consistent with which direction the fur is going. So if you look at the different areas of fur, like the fur on his back's kind of going up and on his head, but the fur on his back leg is kind of going out that way. Oh, I forgot whiskers. Where'd my pencil go? Oh, so he does have some kind of white whiskers, really small. I'm just gonna do like, and then maybe a little bit bigger than that. What the? Oh, I'm drawing under. Okay, there we go. 1, 2, 3. Maybe I see like 3 going up and then like 2 going down. There we go. Ah, need the whiskers. I almost forgot. That's an important part. Bring back in those claws. I think I lost the claws somehow. All right, I'm done, I promise. So we've got 20 minutes, and I'm going to try to use what I learned from drawing this guinea pig to apply it to this guy. You know what? This was a picture from Corey of his guinea pig. I'm not sure if this is the same or a different guinea pig. It's definitely a different side. He's looking the other way. But it looks like a totally different guinea pig. But he has the same kind of bed head going on, so maybe it's not. I don't know. Corey, if you watch this, you gotta let me know. Are these 2 different guinea pigs? I don't know. But thank you for sending me 2 pictures nonetheless. So what I'll do is gallery, start a new picture. we go. And let's get going with a sketch first again. So this is where we get all the measurements, inking, and I want to do, what am I doing? I wanted technical pen. Okay. So, again, we've got kind of straight line things in the background, which are a little bit easier to measure the kind of rounded, fuzzy shape of the guinea pig. It's a little bit hard for the brain to kind of to figure out the measurements on him, but it's a lot easier in relation to straight lines. So I like to draw straight lines when I can find them. So there's that line of this planter box or whatever he's sitting on, and then you can see a little square of grass at the top. Then there's a pole that kind of comes down somewhere around here, and this line continues behind the pole. I'm just quickly getting this background so I can measure it out. Something like that. All right. So now I can start on my guinea. Well, actually, let's see. Finish this pole. Now I'm going to start on the guinea pig by finishing the pole here, which kind of runs into the top of his head. So here, again, now I'm going to kind of draw with little lines, but this time pay attention to which direction the hair is pointing. So little lines pointing like that. It looks like I actually drew this pole a little bit too big, so I'm going to bring that back. Erase that one. So I'm following the fur back now. Here's this shadow. It's kind of a funky picture. I don't really know what's going on in this area here, but that's okay. The guinea pig is the main event anyways. So I'm going around here. And hi, Sam. Drawing a guinea pig. This is Corey's guinea pig that he sent me a picture of. If you have something you'd like me to draw, leave me a message in the comments, and I will get a picture from you later of that thing, or I can look it up. If it's something personal like a pet, a specific pet of yours, you're gonna have to email me a picture. But if it's something like I'd like to draw Iron Man or whatever, then just let me know. I'm down to try whatever. I prefer real life things instead of like cartoons. So I guess Iron Man was a bad example there, but I'm doing this for you, so I'll do it. I'm coming around. I'm kind of talking while I'm drawing, but I'm drawing the front of his face now. Here's this claw area. Kind of comes back like that, and then down. And then I'm taking a little bit less time on this sketch because I mainly want to focus this video on drawing fur, because I think that's the most exciting thing about drawing the guinea pig. I like how this back foot sticks out. All right, that's a good outline. Now I'm gonna kind of sketch where his eyes and ear is. So looks like the eye, once again, not quite a circle. It's a circle under his skin, but the part we're seeing is more of a ovally kind of shape. We're coming around. This line is the ear, and the ear comes around like that, and then there's like a shadow of the ear that's a very strong triangle, and then there's this other shadow on the ear that kind of connects with that triangle like this. All right. And then I'm going to draw the big areas of shadow. So there's this big black shadow that connects let's see here, and then there's like this. I think this all will be black. I'm going to try to do this one just in black and white and not add color, because there is some color on this one, but it's not as colorful of a picture as the previous one. So because of that, I'm going to use this small pen to just, anytime we get a black area, I'm going to fill it in with this, but not all the way. I can leave some, as long as my strokes are going in the direction of the fur, it will look good even if it's not all the way filled in. Because maybe the white is real reflections of the light or something. Alright, so let's see. Got some dark areas here. This is the ear again. And then we got this triangle. The back I'm going to move to. I like to jump around and not, start from the head and go to the tail. I like to kind of do different areas at different, whatever I feel is the next easiest thing to draw. That's where I like to do it. That way, it's kind of like a puzzle, kind of like Sudoku. Actually, have you ever played that numbers game Sudoku? It's like with numbers, and once you get one number, the rest of them become a little bit more clear. That's kind of like drawing. Where sorry, I'm trying to focus on a couple things. It's kind of like drawing, where you draw one thing and then you kind of unlock, like, oh, now that'll make the other thing a little easier. I feel like I made that shape a little bit too small here. Cool. Looks like, hi Corey. This is the same guinea pig, just two different sides, and his name is Reese. Thank you so much for the clarity. 3 toes and 4 fingers? That's interesting. Yeah, you two can totally connect on life size if you ever feel like it. That's a video chat thing that we did yesterday. I think you should be able to invite each other if you just type in your name, if you ever feel like meeting up that way. Sorry, I'm going to keep drawing this black area of the... I keep forgetting to do the right direction with my strokes. I'm trying to follow the direction of how his fur is growing. So if the fur is going down like this in the face, I'm trying to only make marks going that direction on that side. But sometimes I get impatient and I just kind of fill it in the best I can. But the more that I stay consistent, probably the better. Reese. It was a boy, though, I think. Taking pictures in direct sunlight, yes, does bring out the colors. I was in San Francisco a few months ago, and I happened upon a photography class that was outside, like a workshop. They were walking around the city, and the teacher said, if your subject's if you have sunlight in your photo, you're probably on the right track. And so Corey, yes, you're very right. If you're trying to take picture in dim light, that's where kind of less color, less clarity comes. But if you can possibly get, so remember that if you're taking a picture of anything, not just colorful things, but if you're taking a picture of whatever, sunlight is usually good. Sometimes it'll create really harsh shadows, but that's, I mean, at least when you're drawing, shadows are great because they give you more shapes to kind of look at. I'm kind of going crazy with this, with just drawing all the black, and I'm slowly working my way around, just following the direction of the strokes again. I'm going to add some in this area here now. Going the directions of the strokes, like this. looks like that. And this almost has like a spiral thing going on. Like that. And then I'm gonna go just not quite as dark on these areas that I've left out, but I don't want too much white showing. So again, always following the shape of the hair is a great idea for any kind of animal. Any animal with a lot of fur, at least. He almost looks like got a little skunk tail or something in this light. Let's see. Okay, getting there. Almost filled them up. So what I'm doing is just I'm trying to fill up all of the white first, and then I'll get to a little bit more detailed. All right, so now the eye. So now I'm gonna be careful. I don't want to use my eraser just for fun here. So I'm gonna try to copy the shape of the eye and leave that little white spot without having to erase it. If I can be careful, I should be able to leave a little spot of white. That looks like it's a circle. That's the sun, actually, right here. I'm circling. That's the sun. And there's maybe a reflected thing here. So there. It's a nice little eye. Oops. So we want to finish that here. Okay, that's pretty good. Now I'm gonna add some gray now. I said it was gonna be black and white, but gray fits in there too. So I'm working really fast on this guinea pig. The other one took my time a little bit more, learned a few things. Now I'm able to work a little bit faster. This piece might not be quite as developed in the next 5 minutes as the other one is, but that's okay. Add a little bit to the eyes. Yeah. Again, thank you, Corey, for giving me this suggestion. I would love for other people, or you can send me another one if you want. I would love more suggestions for videos. It's cool to draw things that other people want. I've been every night drawing a different watercolor commission, just for a little bit of practice, but also a little bit of income. Every night I've been doing a different one, and that's been really good for my a good way to spend my time rather than TV or something. I'm gonna go ahead and draw in the background. So we've got this area here that's kind of a darker color. I'm not going for color though, I'm just going for gray, how dark or light it is. I'm gonna also color this area in. This pen is not good for coloring in, but that's okay. I'm just gonna keep moving forward with it. Sometimes I think drawing the backgrounds really gives your drawing some life, so your little guy isn't just sitting in a void, which I mean is fine too, but just a little bit. I just like it, so I'm gonna do it. Draw this back shape. And also, drawing a background gives you an opportunity to do something like this, where you're going around your shape and you can almost kind of fix errors with your background, which is cool. So I'm just gonna finish that in there. All right. So yeah, you can definitely get the furry feeling from this drawing. It's not perfect. Now I'm gonna, anywhere I see solid black, so I did so Sam, it's I'm gonna hide your message. don't. I wouldn't put your phone number on here. Maybe you could connect on Facebook or something. So I'm gonna go ahead and anywhere I see solid black, so like on his back, I'm gonna fill that in. On his back, there's a little bit here, and a little bit here. I've got 3 more minutes. Hopefully I can get a little bit more done in here for you. But you can use my methods. Maybe you learned one thing to get you a little bit closer to be able to draw guinea pigs or any kind of animal that you would like. Why not? I'll add some color in here. Might as well, just to bring it alive a little bit. So I'm going to add this, like this, just a little bit down here, because again, like Corey probably is familiar with the specific pattern on his pet, and that's what makes this specific guinea pig different and special, is the way that his fur pattern is. Also his personality, but at least visually we want to kind of get the gist of where the shapes of color are in his fur, because that's what makes him him. And that's what I showed this a minute ago, but I'll show it again. Like these cats I painted for somebody, each little mark and line, people that are that like their animals often are very familiar with how they look, and it's those things that they'll notice, like, wow, he got my cat's nose just right, or that little dot on his head, oh my gosh, it's just like my kitty. So when you're drawing animals for other people, those are the type of things that they notice. Corey just shared that he's an American guinea pig. There's different kinds. That's cool. I'm learning a lot about guinea pigs here. Just by drawing them, I've already learned a lot about how they're structured. So this can actually be a really good method for learning about an animal, is just to draw it. I've certainly learned a lot about trees, about cars, about how faces are put together just by drawing them. Now what I'm doing now is just drawing a little bit of the gray on that whatever he's sitting on here. I need a little darker gray. And it's 2, so I'm gonna leave it at that. There was one, and we had the second one here. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Corey, I'll have to send you these pictures. And thank you so much for the request. And I'll see you on Thursday with another drawing video. Tomorrow with a music video.